With this lesson, our unit conversions are going to get a little bit trickier, but I know we can do it. Bring it on. We're going to look at two-dimensional and three-dimensional conversion. We'll start off with two-dimensional. All right, here's a factor that we do know. We know that 1 yard is the same as 3 feet. So I want you to fill in the blank. How many square feet would make 1 square yard? What do you think it would be? A lot of people would say it's 3. 3 square feet would be 1 square yard just because they've memorized this. But guys, that is not the case. In fact, I'm crossing this out big time. Ask me in class about my husband and the mistake he made doing that with our roof when he was re-shingling it. Boy, that about took our truck out. Okay, in reality, let's look at our picture here. Let's say this is 1 square yard. That means it's 1 yard long and it's 1 yard high. And so on its area, we would multiply that base times the height. And 1 times 1 is still 1, but yard times yard makes yard squared, or square yards. That's why we call it that. But if you were looking at this in feet, we know 1 yard does equal 3 feet. And so it would also equal 3 feet here. And let's just multiply that area again in feet this time. So it's 3 feet across the bottom, and it's 3 feet high. 3 times 3 gives me 9. And feet times feet is square feet. So what's the real answer? It's not 3 square feet, it's 9 square feet. We can even draw it in here. So we've got this divided in thirds, this divided in thirds, and then drawing all the way across. And coming down here, I guess they're not really square. You'll have to figure that. Woo, really not square. But you do see 9 of them in there, don't you? Okay, so 1 square yard is 9 square feet. That means all of our other area conversions, you've got new ones to memorize, but I'm going to make this easier on you. We're going to look at this a little bit different way so that you don't have to do a bunch of memorizing. Here's the way it works. Okay, we're going to turn these square yards into square miles this time. Now let's just think about yards themselves. Do we know how to go from yards to miles? Some of you do, some of you don't. So I'm going to do it for everybody. I don't know how to go to yards to miles without going into feet first, because I know how many feet make a yard, and I also know how many feet make a mile. So that's my plan, except with these square ones, we're going to take a little bit of a different approach. Step 1 is the same. We're going to write down the number we have and the unit we have, only I'm going to ask you to split the unit into 2. I want you to write it twice. Yards and yards. I want you to write it twice. Don't write the 2. Instead, just copy it twice. Now everything's the same from here. We're going to convert those yards into feet. And so to do that, I'll bring in my conversion factor. I want to cancel yards, so they go down here, and feet up here, with 3 feet making 1 yard. And that lets me cancel a yard. But I still have a yard. So what am I going to do to get rid of that one? You might guess, and you'd be right, I'm going to multiply by another one. I'm going to just do this again with yards down here and feet upstairs. 1 yard is 3 feet, and that lets me cancel this yard. So those are gone. And now look at the units we have. We have feet here and we have feet here. So think about that. That's square feet. Okay, so we had square yards and now we have square feet. We want to get to square miles. So to do that, I need to cancel the feet. How can I cancel feet and make them miles? Well, there's feet on the bottom and miles on the top. Now putting in the numbers, 5280 on the feet, oh, forgot the 2, is 1 mile. That cancels one of my feet. Got to cancel the other one, so I just do it again. 5280, make sure I write it all, feet, and 1 mile. And that cancels the feet with these feet. Now I'm going to circle this because I wanted miles, and in fact I wanted square miles, and notice I have 2 of them. So that's exactly the unit I want. I am done. I just need to multiply this all out. So across the top we're going to multiply 12,500 times 3 again, and then I see I'm dividing by the 5280, dividing by 5280 one more time for my total. This is a decimal. It's about 0.004 square miles. Okay, so take a look at that. The real change here wasn't too bad. We just made sure to write down our yards twice to make sure that we had accounted for the square yards. That made us do some conversion factors repeatedly. That's all there is to it. Okay, check it out here. Mrs. P, that'd be me, is shopping for new carpet for her bedroom, which measures 12 feet by 15 feet. Here's a picture of it. And the store prices are $12.95 per square yard. So you can see the problem here. I've got square yards, but my measures are in feet. How much is that carpet going to cost me? So let's figure out, first of all, what's the area of my room? And I've got it in feet, so I'm going to say it's 15 feet multiplied by 12 feet, or 180, and the feet, of course, are square feet. Now, it cost me $12.95 a square yard, so I'm going to have to convert those square feet. I need them to be square yards. In fact, that's my question. How many square yards is that? Okay, so let's do a conversion. I'm just going to copy down my 180 square feet, but I'm going to write the feet twice. Pay attention to units on this stuff. Okay, I know how to convert from feet to yards, so I'm going to bring in a conversion factor. Feet go on the bottom, yards on the top. 3 feet make 1 yard, and that gets rid of one of them. Okay, but I still have one in there, so I'm going to just repeat this. Another 3 feet on the bottom, make 1 yard on the top, and those feet get to cancel again. So I'm circling. I've got my yards times my yards, that's square yards, and calculating. So 180 just gets divided by 3 a second time for a total of 20 square yards. Okay, I've got 20 square yards of carpet. Each one's costing me $12.95 per square yard. So I've got $12.95 per square yard. Notice I'm putting that underneath. Times by 20 yards. 20 square yards each. Cancel those out. Multiplying that out gives me $259 total. Except I hate that color, so I'm going to have to do something different. All right, volume conversions, same kind of consideration. 1 yard is 3 feet, but cubic yards. This gal here, she's sitting on this. I picked this picture so you could get a sense of the size of a cubic yard compared to a person. They're pretty big. So 1 cubic yard, how many cubic feet is that? Remember, 1 cubic yard means 1 yard times 1 yard times 1 more yard. And 1 yard is 3 feet times 3 feet times 3 feet. So I'm going to have to multiply that 3 times. So it's 27 cubic feet. Can you see them? There's 9 on the bottom layer, 9 on the middle, and 9 more on the top. Total of 27 cubic feet. So with these volume conversions, we're going to do the same approach. I'm going to write down what I've got, and when I write the unit, I'm not going to take the shortcut. I'm going to make sure to write it 3 times. Inches times inches times inches to help me keep track. Now, can we convert inches into yards? Oops, that should have been a cube. We're going to change this to cubic yards. Change that on your note sheet if it's wrong. Okay, we're going to change it to cubic yards. So I'm going to go from cubic inches to cubic yards, and I actually know a conversion for that. If you have it memorized, you might remember that 1 yard is the same thing as 36 inches. That's going to save us some steps. Here we go. Okay, so to get rid of the first inch, I put it on the bottom with a yard on the top. 36 inches makes a yard, and that cancels out my first inch. But I need them all to cancel, so I'm just going to repeat the same thing 3 times. 36 inches, 1 yard, and 36 inches, 1 yard. Okay, so that second inch cancels, the third inch cancels, and looking at the units I still have, yards times another yard, that's cubic yards. Okay, so it looks like we're going to take 300 for a number and divide by 36 over and over and over again. Tiny. We've got 0.0064 cubic yards there. Oh, look, it's me again. I do have 3 garden boxes, and these are really their measures. They're 4 feet by 8 feet. Now that's just so you know, that's the length and the width across the bottom there. There's 4 feet there, and they're 8 feet here. I do want to fill them with a foot of topsoil, so I want them to go 1 foot deep. But here's the cost per cubic yard. That's the way they sell it at the garden center. How much is it going to cost me? All right, let's start out by figuring out the volume of my boxes. The volume of my boxes would be 4 feet times by 8 feet times by 1 foot. Okay, multiplying all that's 32 cubic feet. Now remember, that's for 1 box. So timesing that by 3 boxes, I need 96 cubic feet of topsoil total. Well, topsoil is sold by the cubic yard, so there's a conversion we've got to do. All right, so let's take the 96 cubic feet and let's write down feet 3 times. Feet, feet, feet. Can't help but sing. And now let's convert those into yards by pulling in some conversion factors. So one conversion factor will convert the feet to yards, 3 and 1. Cancel out one of them, and then to cancel the other, we just repeat that. All right, there's the other one gone, and the third one is gone. Again, I want you to make sure you've got the right units. Circle those units, 1 yard, yard, and yard. That's cubic yards. And now we're going to divide 96 by 3, divide by 3, divide by one more 3 for about 3.56 yards rounded. So it's 3.56 cubic yards, and each one is costing me $17.95. Look at this conversion factor for 1 yard, 1 cubic yard. The yards go out, and dollars is what I've got. What's it going to cost me? $63.82 if they forgive that extra decimal part. So there we go. I'm going to get my garden going. All right, we can't leave this lesson without checking out how it works with the metric system. We're going to keep moving decimals, but we have to be smart about it. So let's do it what we know. So if we have 1 meter and the decimal place is here, and kangaroos are hopping down mountains, drinking chocolate milk, of course. If I want to go from meters to centimeters, it looks like I've got to go 1, 2 jumps. So that's going to be 1, 2. I'm going to have, move it to here, I'm going to have 100 centimeters in a meter. Okay, so in area, that means that this 1 meter would be 100 centimeters by 100 centimeters, and multiplying those is going to give me 10,000 square centimeters. And if I have a cubic meter, that's 100 centimeters by 100 centimeters by another 100 centimeters. For a total, multiply all those together, you're going to get how many? Let's see, 1,000,000 cubic centimeters in there. So how does all this apply to decimal jumps and kangaroos hopping down mountains? We saw here that we did 2 jumps. How many jumps do we go to get this one? 1, 2, 3, 4. It's 4 jumps. So this is 1 meter, and we go 1, 2, and we go 1, 2 again for 4 jumps to find that 10,000. Now what about on that million? If the decimal had started there and it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, check it out. Starting here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it was 2 jumps there and 2 jumps again, 2 jumps there, 2 jumps again, 2 jumps a third time. So this is how I do it. I just count how many jumps it takes to get to my unit, and then I repeat it the number of times my exponent shows me. So here I repeated 3 times the 2 jumps. Does that make sense? Let me show you with an example. If you're going to convert 56.2 cubic centimeters into millimeters, then you're going to repeat your jumps 3 times. So, kangaroos hopping down mountains, drinking chocolate milk. You're going from centimeters to millimeters. That's right there. That's just 1 jump. But I'm going to repeat it 3 times. So I'm going to go 56.2. I'm going to make my first jump. That's 1. I'm going to repeat it a second time, and I'm going to repeat it a third time. So filling in these with zeros, I get 56,200. And that's how you do it in these 2- and 3-dimensional things. Here's another example. So I'm going to take my 46,700 square meters. That square there tells me I'm going to repeat twice, however many jumps I make. All right, here's the decimal now. And let's see, we're going from meters to kilometers. So meters to kilometers is backward jumping 1, 2, 3 spots. Here we go. Okay, first I go 1, 2, 3. There's my first set. There's number 1. Then I do it again, 1, 2, 3, and there's number 2. So here's my decimal, and my answer would be 0.0467. I can leave off those last decimals. 0.0467. What do you think? Do you think you can handle that? Hope so, but we will practice in class. Any questions you have, be sure to ask.